Well, let's continue the NFL conversation with one of our favorite people.
He is the best. Coach Herm with us again. Coach Herm Edwards from ESPN on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. Welcome back, Coach. Hope you had a good summer.
Well, I have, and thank you very much. I have a daughter actually going to college this year. She's going to Austin, University of Texas.
Oh, a new SEC? She's going to an SEC school.
SEC. Yeah, she's going to the SEC. So we're going to make our journey down there, I think, on the 11th of August and get her checked into the dorm. So
well, good for her.
Coach, I'm going to go see Coach and maybe we'll go over to practice and watch some football.
Before we get into the NFL, let's stick in the SEC. We were talking about Alabama opening camp with Kalen DeBoer in year one. You coaches are a tight-knit fraternity. How well do you know Kalen DeBoer?
You know, I know of him. I think anytime you follow Nick Saban, as someone had to follow Bear Bryant, it's a tough task. And I think you can't get caught up on the numbers. You can't get caught up on what he's accomplished, Coach Saban and his tenure there at Alabama. You just have to be you. And Alabama obviously stands as one of the best college football programs in the country. And with that being said, you're going to have access to a lot of really good players. The expectations are always high when you put on one of those uniforms. So I just think Coach has been there. He gets it. It's a big seat. There's no doubt about that. It's a big seat to fill now, and expectations are high. But you got good players, and it's interesting now with this NLI. The key is, can you keep your good players?
Yeah.
It's worse than the NFL. In the NFL, they sign a contract. You got it for 3 or 4 years. You're week to week. You're calling roll when you have your team meeting. Is everybody here? Right? It's kind of one of them deals. So good luck to those college coaches. I get it. I was involved at Arizona State when that thing first hit, and I can remember a couple of guys coming in the office, and I said, "Hey, you got to go." With what they're offering you, I said, you got to go. One of them was Jaden Daniels. He went. And he ended up winning the Heisman.
Yeah. We're good.
Pretty good. I talk to him all the time. I tell him, you owe me money, man. But that's fine.
Hey, and that times out well when you got a daughter going to college. You'll need that money there. Yeah.
Right. That's his little sister. He calls both my daughters his two little sisters. So we have a great relationship.
We've seen Coach Saban now a couple of times since he started working with you guys at ESPN, and he's playing a lot of golf too. He seems to be having a good retirement so far. I didn't know if it would transition that well for him. How long does that last for you? The newness of it all before you start to miss it.
It's fun, because it's something new. You got to turn your brain a different way. You have a lot of information. Obviously, you've been around football your whole life, but now you're trying to explain it to the fan. It's a lot of fun. You miss the competition of it all. You really do when you've been a competitive guy. It's funny because you think about Coach Saban and obviously Bill Belichick. I'll take you guys way back. In 1977, when I was with the Philadelphia Eagles as a rookie, both those guys were at Michigan State working for Duffy Daugherty.
Wow.
And they came down to our practice when I was a rookie at Westchester. And Westchester, I believe it was, and that's when I first met them. They were secondary guys, and they sat in the room. They spent a whole day there, and two young coaches. I'm playing pro football. They're young coaches, and lo and behold, you go back and you look at it all. He goes, I knew those guys. Those guys were college coaches, and I was playing in the NFL. So it's kind of ironic. Both of them now are out, and both of them are Hall of Fame coaches. They're both on television. Right. And it's television is a little bit different because you don't really have a team. You don't feel the anxiety that you're used to having on Friday night if you play Saturday, and on Saturday night if you play Sunday, and putting the game plan together and just the competition of it all. That's what you miss. I've always said this, that's the coaching part. But the playing part, for me, there's nothing close to that. There ain't close.
Yeah.
I mean, I love coaching at both levels, college and professional football. But the playing part, the actually competing in the arena, I can't find a replacement for that yet.
The coach, Herm Edwards, with us from ESPN. The NFL preseason opens tomorrow with NFL Hall of Fame game. What do most franchises do when you've got the overall number 1 draft pick? He's going to be your starting quarterback, and you're playing your first preseason game. What's the book tell you to do with that guy?
Well, in today's world, I think the book's real simple. I mean, if he is your guy, you got to get him reps. Now, the thing about that, the offensive linemen don't like that. You tell them early in the preseason, hey, let me tell you something now. You're going to be in there for a while. And the old vets are looking at you kind of sideways. Coach, no. We got to protect the quarterback. Now, you're going to run the ball some with him to protect him, but you got to keep him in there with the offensive line. And you have to allow him to be in charge of the huddle with the veterans in there. Because that's all the vets want to know. When he walks in the huddle, does this guy have command or not? In the preseason, it's all fun. It's all funny and laughing, because half the veterans now, they wear the baseball hats. They don't play. They stand on the sideline. They're just, they're the hum babies. They're coaching. Every veteran player is coaching now. And this is why I've said this numerous times in the NFL, the first 4 games, you really don't know who you are. Anybody could win the first month of football because it's really like a glorified preseason games, except they count. Because the players don't play in the preseason anymore. When you think about the veteran guys, if there's a number, is it 60 reps in 3 games that you want your veterans to play? Is that the number? Is it 50? According to their age, according to who they are, that's what you do. When you have a quarterback, that's a whole entirely different situation because now you got to keep the veterans in there with him. And I've always said this in the preseason, I was always big on this, and I told the veterans this. One of these games, you have to start in the third quarter. You have to go in at halftime, come in and start the first series in the third quarter, just to feel what it feels like coming out of the locker room, going back on the field and playing, right? Don not your baseball hat. You only have to wear a series or 2, but I want you to leave the locker room at halftime and go start the game off, get used to that. And then from there, you're playing all the young guys and evaluate.
Coach, numbers show historically half the teams that made the playoffs missed the postseason the very next year. Yeah. We were talking about an organization that you played for, the Philadelphia Eagles, and almost winning a Super Bowl 2 years ago. They start 10-1, but they lose 6 of their final 7 last year. You've got Kellen Moore coming in to call offensive plays for Jalen Hurts. Which Jalen Hurts do we see this year?
I think you see one that's healthy, that's not hurt, and I think with Kellen there, they're going to rely more on the running backs in the passing game. They had no answer, to be quite honest. When people brought pressure, their answer was throw deep balls to A.J. Brown. They never attacked the middle of the field. I watched them. Look, I saw this collapse happening in week 8. Just from afar, when I'm watching it, I said, these boys are in trouble. They're in trouble. And everybody in the studio said, what are you talking about? I said, they're in trouble. Defensively, they're not very good. And offensively, they got no answer for pressure. They got one answer. Throw it deep. Well, okay, that didn't work. So now people are showing pressure and dropping off in zone, and it was a mess. And then the quarterback gets hurt. So now they got Barkley there. By the way, that is still puzzling to me. They let Barkley basically catch a taxi cab from New York and go down to Philadelphia, play in the same division. You got to play the guy twice. He's your best player, and you let him go to Philly? That's a head scratcher for me. He can't be in the same division. You got to pay the guy twice. He called a cab. He didn't even use Uber. He called a cab and went down to Philly. Right? So, it's one of those deals. I'm glad we got him because he's a heck of a football player. But I think the Eagles will be much better. They've done some things defensively. They drafted the 2 kids, the secondary players, and this team knows how to win. I think the quarterback, and you guys seen him play in the SEC. I mean, he's a remarkable individual. He's a good young man. He's what you want as a quarterback, right? He gets it. He just gets it. And I think, his father was a coach. That helps him. But it's just the way he handles himself. Class act.
Herm Edwards is with us, and we always he took a cab. We live for those Herm moments on our show here. I'm looking at Broncos camp news last night before I go to bed because Bo Nix is from our area, played at Auburn before he went to Oregon. He's in the mix there, a first-round draft pick. So too is Jarrett Stidham and Zach Wilson. How important is it for Stidham to have been at least a year under the Sean Payton offense? Does that give him a little leg up going into the season that Stidham's been there a year?
Well, it helped. He knows, he knows what coach likes. He understands, the system because it's a system. It's the West Coast system. That's what it is, and it's get the ball out quick, be very accurate with the ball. Stay out of second and longs. You always want to be in 2nd and 4, and that's a bad down for defense. Coach Payton knows how to do that with his offense, and it's about completions. This is why. Be quite frankly, this is why Russell Wilson really struggled in this offense, because it's a high percentage throw the ball quick. It's not drop back 5 steps, throw it deep. It's get the ball out of your hand, get it to the guys running in space, and make good throws, right? Accurate throws. And so, I mean, that's the offense you're in. And if you can do that, I don't care if you're a rookie, I don't care if you're a 5-year guy, that's what Sean expects out of his quarterbacks. And he's been successful doing it.
Coach Herm, why does it work for Jim Harbaugh? The guy has won everywhere he's been. I mean, he won at San Francisco, he's won at Michigan, and a lot of people think he will win immediately in L.A.
No doubt, he's gonna turn it around. He's gonna, I know Coach pretty well, and he's still an old-fashioned football coach when you think about it, right? He's gonna lean on his offensive line. And he's going to lean on the running back. That's where it all starts. It all starts there. And he is a grinder. He's going to make you play tough football. He's going to run the ball at you, and he's going to build everything off his run game. And if you're a defensive player, you love that, because you're taking possessions away from your opponent, because you're going to control the line of scrimmage. He believes in toughness. He's very confident. He's great with the quarterbacks. Wherever he's been. I can remember when people were scratching their head, and he was in San Francisco when he had Colin Kaepernick. And everybody said, what is he doing with this guy? You can't run this guy on the option. Yeah, we can. And it took half the season for everybody to figure out, you know what, you better stop this option with this quarterback, because they're going to keep running. And he ran them right into the playoffs. And so I just think he's done a fabulous job wherever coach has been. And players buy into him. He's out there with his football cleats on. In the pregame, he got cleats on. I told him one day, I said, Coach, they make those ones that they're not molded anymore. You can get them other ones now, the soft shoe. He likes the regular cleats. He wants to go in the grass, right? But it's going to be fun to watch. It's a good division. The Raiders are better. The Raiders were better last year, believe it or not. They had their division record was 4-2. People don't realize that with the Raiders. Antonio got him going. Marvin's down there with him. With Chargers will be better. We know Kansas City's Kansas City. Sean Payton's with Denver now, and he'll get that thing going. So that's going to be a fun division to watch.
Yeah, back to Kansas City. We've never seen the three-peat before. Would you take Kansas City or the field right now?
As long as they got that quarterback 15, right? He makes everything, and no one can cover Kelsey. I say it every week. I said, can somebody cover the guy? Just cover the guy on a big moment. The ball's going to Kelsey. Everybody in the stadium knows it. I'm sitting there in the studio going, they're going to throw it to 87. Sure enough, 87 catches the ball. First down, Chiefs, right? Touchdown, Chiefs. And it's funny to watch. And I thought last year their defense really kind of set the table for them as they were trying to find their way. They weren't the offense everyone anticipated. And everybody said, what's wrong with this offense? Well, Andy Reid was just kind of, okay, we're going to be okay. And time the playoffs showed up. Patrick Mahomes shows up. And, and really, when you think about it, Buffalo had them on the ropes. Buffalo was their worst enemy. They turned the ball over twice there, and that cost them the game. But Buffalo really had them. But, lo and behold, here goes Kansas City. They find a way to win that one. I thought when they played the Ravens, for some reason, they thought Lamar Jackson was, I don't know, Y.A. Tittle or something, and he couldn't run. He was dropping back, throwing passes. I said, what happened to the run game? What offense am I watching right here? I was in the studio. I said, what is this? This is not the Baltimore Ravens. I said, Lamar Jackson's dropping back, trying to just throw passes every play. I said, what are we doing here? And so I think they figured that out. They can't run that offense anymore. But, Kansas City still, it's got to be one of the favorites. I like the Buffalo Bills. I do. I love that quarterback.
Yeah,
I think he's a really good player.
I don't know if it's in your ESPN contract or not, but I feel like I have to ask a question about the Dallas Cowboys. So, Dallas
we
Cowboys.
wouldn't be on air if it wasn't for the Dallas Cowboys.
Very true.
They're bigger than ESPN. That's what keeps ESPN afloat. We got to talk about the Cowboys.
Why won't they give Dak some money? I mean, I like Dak Prescott, the quarterback. Give him some money.
We all do. Problem is, I think if you're Jerry, and I've said this numerous times, they have a star-studded team on both sides of the ball. And I think Jerry's at a point in his career now, all of a sudden, it is eerie. Dak Prescott is all of a sudden, and it's just my opinion, watching these guys, the Dallas Cowboys, and the history of it, and I go way back with the Dallas Cowboys now. I go back to Roger Staubach and those guys. That's the teams I played against. They were very good. He reminds me now of Tony Romo. And I think if you're Jerry, you're looking at this and going, I'm paying all these star players all this money. My quarterback only has 2 playoff wins. 2. And he keeps saying this. He says since 1995, that was the last time they held up the trophy. That's a long time. I think if you're Jerry, they didn't do a whole lot. You're looking at this team and going, this team's good enough. They've won 36 games in the last 3 years. The only other team has won as many, Kansas City Chiefs, and they've won 2 Super Bowls. So the Dallas Cowboys, in my opinion, I think if you're Jerry, I don't know this. This is just me, an analyst and a head coach and a former player looking at all this. I'm going, why am I going to pay anybody? Let them play. And if it don't work out, I'm going to get a new quarterback. And Dak, if I'm Dak, I'm telling him, you know what? You ain't got to pay me. I'm going to bet on myself. And I'm going to play, and I'm going to get in the playoffs, and I'm going to win a couple playoff games, maybe get to the championship game, and then guess what? You're going to have to pay me a lot of money or I'm out. So I just think it works both ways. And if I'm Jerry, that's what I'm thinking. Now, I can't say Jerry's thinking that, but if I'm Jerry Jones and I was sitting in his seat, I'd go, look, every year we win games. We know how to win games. But when the playoffs start, they lost to the Green Bay Packers at home, guys. And I'm not saying the Green Bay Packers are a bad team. They're a good football team. They got a young defense, got an outstanding quarterback. Think about quarterbacks. You want to know who does it right? Is the Green Bay Packers. Think about this.
Oh, yeah.
If that quarterback, Love, stays there for 10 to 15 years, in the last 50 years, the Green Bay Packers have only had 3 quarterbacks. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, and Love. What organization in football has ever done that? 50 years only had 3 quarterbacks. The Green Bay Packers. That's it.
Yeah. Coach, you always get us fired up. We appreciate the time. It's fun talking to you.
Hey, it's football, man. We get to watch tackle football finally.
Standing ovation, man. That was fantastic.
We're as excited
All
as you
right,
are.
guys.
Thank you, Coach. Good to see you again.
My pleasure. God bless you all.